beach house in Baltimore and watching birds and rays and palm trees, and I'm getting a little taste of that this week down in Florida for all things NFL owners meetings in Orlando. But he is down in Port Charlotte where the Rays do their thing, and is it crocodiles or alligators out in that swamp down there? I mean, it's crazy down there. There's signs up there. Andy Freed is a Baltimorean and Ellicott Cityer trapped down there doing baseball in the sunshine. We all feel so sorry for him after all these years. Andy, welcome home. Good to have you aboard. And I tell you what, Alex Cobb has done a little beauty tour the first couple days of his Oriole thing here. Boy, he seems like a nice bloke. He seemed like a good fellow, doesn't he?
One of my all-time favorites with the Rays, one of the all-time hardest workers, and it really should have been his staff after David Price was traded in 2014. He had earned it. He was our best pitcher in postseason in 2013, and then he was going to be the opening day pitcher in 2015. Right after he was named that, he ended up blowing out the elbow, so we really lost him for all of 15, most of 16, and we got him last year, but then it was free agent time. So I kind of feel like the Rays fans were cheated out of seeing the best of Alex Cobb. Just a terrific guy, a very good pitcher, and I think single-handedly he makes the Orioles much, much better.
All right, well, let's go through the whys and the wherefores. I mean, the why, well, the Rays weren't giving him $57 million. We've heard that story before. You and I could get into the backside of the conjecture of who the heck could be running the Orioles at this point, that they would spend $57 million on a pitcher. But, give me the pros and what are we getting in Alex Cobb? And what did you see on the backside of the Tommy John that would lead you, who loves Alex Cobb, to give Alex Cobb $57 million and a 4-year deal?
Well, I was a little surprised the Orioles ended up doing it, only because they've had not so great luck, and I have to tell you and your fans, with free agent pitchers. I mean, I think overall, when you look at it, there are exceptions when you see Max Scherzer and various other guys throughout the years that when they sign a long free agent contract as a starting pitcher that it works. More times than not, you're almost paying 2 for 1, and a lot of times at the end it doesn't work. I think with Cobb it will work. I think you're getting a pitcher that is very accountable, and I'll tell you what, before the Tommy John surgery, he was fastball changeup. After the Tommy John surgery, and his changeup, which he threw at a higher percentage than any other pitcher in the game, went away. So he had to figure out on the fly what to get to work. And I know Joe Madden always wanted to get him to throw his curveball more. He did. He went to that pitch, and his fastball curveball, basically a 2-pitch pitcher, ended up being what got him to be at the top of the rotation again. Now, his changeup did come back a little bit, but it hasn't been the dominant pitch that it was prior to the Tommy John. I would not be surprised if it does come back. One thing about Cobb, and Kevin Cash said this almost in jest, is that he was one of the most stubborn pitchers the Rays ever had, and that's why he wasn't surprised that Cobb held out for a while. Cobb was very close to signing a long-term extension with the Rays, was offered it right before he hurt his elbow. He ended up not, so I think the last couple of years he's been waiting and kind of biding his time, hoping to not only be successful, but to find the right match. I thought the Orioles or the Brewers would be the perfect match for him. Turns out it was the O's.
He is Andy Freed. He's got the background here in Baltimore. How many years down there now with the Rays since you signed up for the Sunshine down there?
This is year number 14, believe it or not. It's gone like a flash.
Man, when I shoulda, woulda, coulda. If I would have written the script, I'd have been down there with Rick Vaughn, the Wild Thing. And how are you guys? I guess I ask this all the time. I've been doing this 27 years from the beginning. I remember when Vaughn was running around here with the Redskins when there weren't any Rays and when there were Devil Rays and all that good stuff. But, through all these years, when it gets built up, it feels like they take it away from you. And, you get that moment in the sun back in the days of Madden and playing in World Series and being favorites in the American League East. Certainly the Rays aren't that. The Orioles got better with Cobb, and I would say if the Rays would have had Cobb, they would have been better, right? And I don't know what the expectation level is there, but it's always young guys that maybe we've heard a little bit about, the next Odorizzi and Cobb graduate school. Who's going to be the guys that are going to step up here? We're going to see plenty of the Rays this year, Andy.
Well, the Rays they are very deep with starting pitching, even though 2 of the top young prospects that were about to emerge this year in this rotation made us a little less thick because they both ended up having Tommy John. Brent Honeywell was our most renowned starting pitcher in the minor leagues, was ready to break through. He has blew out his elbow early in spring training, and Jose De Leon, who we got in the Logan Forsythe deal from the Dodgers last offseason, he ended up having to have Tommy John also. So we're a little less thick. The Rays also, and not because of it, but we're already thinking of going to a 4-man rotation with the 5th day being kind of like a rotating bullpen day. So they're going to have what the Rays hope is kind of the next frontier, is that they have a pool of pitchers in the bullpen scheduled to go about 60 pitches on a given day, and they hope that that balances it out. And that's what their plan is going into the season, knowing that they have more pitching coming on the way. And look, we're all about pitch. Last couple of years, the Rays try to go away from it a little bit, go a little more towards power. We had 200 home runs each of the last 2 years, but we're at the bottom of the league in runs scored. So the Rays are kind of going back to what ended up getting into the postseason 4 out of 6 years, and that is pitching and defense. I think we'll be better defensively this year. Our pitching should be decent, hopefully great. If it's great, then the Rays will be very good. But I'm a little curious how we're going to score runs. That remains to be seen.
I think you're resilient on all of this, right? So there's life after Longoria. There's life after Price. There will be life after Cobb. Here we still have the Machado thing, and I must say that you found it curious that Cobb wound up in Baltimore after St. Patrick's Day for $57 million. I mean, Andy, you've been watching this a long time. This certainly smacks of something that Mr. Angelos would never have had a part of, and certainly allowing kids in for free is another thing that a place like Tampa, there would be more pressure to do that there where they've always had trouble selling tickets.
Well, we already do. I mean, we have programs just like that, and I salute and hats off to the Orioles for doing a program just very similar to what the Rays do. And the Rays do it not just for kids, but they do it for military people. It's a big military area down here with MacDill Air Force Base. They do it for teachers and firefighters, what we call local heroes. So the Rays do things, a lot of things just like that. I mean, I congratulate the Orioles on the move of Alex Cobb. I mean, you go into the off season basically with 2 starters, and now they have what looks to me to be a very good rotation. Not exactly a deep rotation if anyone gets hurt, but outside of that, I think they have a good rotation. I think the Orioles still have some questions of the bullpen, like most teams do. The infield defense is terrific, but, the Machado thing ends up being the ultimate question because the Rays, well, everyone likes to say that everybody leaves from free agency. I mean, the Rays have traded a fair amount of guys before they get to free agency, like James Shields, like David Price, but they've also gone to free agency and let guys go without getting a direct return, like Carl Crawford, like Alex Cobb, like B.J. Upton. So I think it's hard to pigeonhole the Rays to be a certain type of franchise. That being said, this team has to get back to a strong defensive unit. I think our defense the last couple of years has not been particularly strong, and I think the misnomer about the Rays is that for this offseason is that they were selling off. They were not selling off. This team needed more talent. I mean, people that are complaining about the Rays, they haven't been above 500 in 4 seasons. So what exactly were they getting rid of? They needed to get more talent, and they weren't selling payroll like the Marlins were doing. The Rays' payroll this year on opening day will likely be higher than it was a year ago. So I think it's been falsely reported about what the Rays are doing. I think people are confused about what they're doing, but bottom line, if you had to put it in a nutshell, the Rays are trying to get more talent to start winning again.
By the way, I am on your website, Andy Freed, at MLB.com, and the Rays $2 Kids Tuesdays in Tampa. So there you go. So, I've been saying for 15 years the Orioles should do $1 for kids, when they're slow on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday night, whatever. Come on down. And you've already doing your $2 free, $1, whatever, deeply discounted in order to bring people in. And I guess, from the Orioles' perspective and how the place has been run and where they are here going into Machado and not signing a Lance Lynn for $12 million, but giving an Alex Cobb $57 million. If it were your money, what do you expect out of Alex Cobb for 4 years here? I mean, you like him a lot. You're going to see him a lot, obviously, in the division now. He's moved in here very, very quickly and sitting in the booth and talking about things and has been very polite and very thoughtful and like all of that. There needs to be a little level of recruitment. Having watched Alex Cobb, I almost want to pay to go watch him pitch now and sort of get on the Cobb train and all that sort of thing. But what are the real expectations for him if you would have given him $57 million, Andy?
Well, first of all, he's got to get built up. I mean, this has been the strangest offseason all baseball fans know for guys that were free agents. I mean, Alex has been waiting a long time for this sort of moment. I looking back, and it's easy to say now, but even at the end of the 13th season, if I were the Orioles, I don't think I would have given 4 years to a pitcher like Ubaldo Jimenez because he was always so unpredictable. His mechanics were always so wild. He could get so hot for a month to 6 weeks and then look miserable for the next part of the year. Cobb is not that guy. I mean, Cobb is a guy I would hitch my wagon to. I think the Orioles made a very, very good sign. I know people are going to say he hasn't been durable because, yes, he has spent time on the DL, but a lot of it last year wasn't because he was hurt. A lot of it was because his innings were up so much from the years prior because he had missed so much time with Tommy John surgery. He had some freak injuries early in his career. He got beamed in the head on an Eric Hosmer line drive in 2013, so that put him in the hospital. He was very lucky to not have any broken bones in his skull. He had a very strange injury early on. I'm trying to remember it off the top of my head. I believe he either had a rib removed or something very strange like that, but he has been a very resilient guy. He is from a very excellent base of a family. His mother died when he was young, so he and his brother and his dad very, very close. His brother served overseas in the military. It's just a very good, solid family. And my favorite part about Alex Cobb, several things, if I had to say one. One is that he's so accountable after games. He never penciled on anybody else. He always takes responsibility for it. He really is a top-of-the-rotation sort of guy in attitude. And another thing about Alex is that, he's one of those guys that if he doesn't have his good stuff that day, he is able to figure it out. My favorite Alex Cobb game is the 2013 American League Wild Card game, where the Rays took on the Indians in very hostile territory in Cleveland. I think of all the Rays postseason games, it was that game and that crowd that was the most difficult one to play in. Better than Boston, better than all the other places we played postseason. And Alex did not take the mound that day with his good stuff. He didn't have his changeup working. He was kind of spotty with his fastball, and yet when the situation came where men were on base, he was able to get several ground ball double plays, including one that he finished off himself covering first base. He got the Rays 6 2/3 innings on a day where he, frankly, was not at his best. That right there was the coming out of Alex Cobb. That's when he got the label of Bulldog, and that's when he was our best postseason pitcher in 2013. It almost didn't, I don't want to say it didn't matter, but it almost didn't matter if he had his good stuff or not. He figured out a way to grind out the tough innings, and I think that's what Oriole fans will enjoy watching.
Andy Freed knows a lot about the Orioles because he grew up an Oriole fan in Ellicott City. He's been calling Rays baseball now for 14 years down there with Dave Wills and the crew. We don't see you guys till the middle of April, so I'll be darkening your doorstep again right around April 24th. But wow. Boston, New York, Boston to start the season, huh? We're back to this era, Andy, of the have and the have-nots. And, the Orioles have something, but they ain't got that. And I guess where the Yankees and the Red Sox are here is we're all sort of looking up, including in Toronto, and saying, how are we going to catch those teams this year?
Well, I think several things. One, a decade ago, it was very easy to say, and probably felt like it was true. I know it felt like that there was no way teams within the American League East could compete with Boston and New York simply because of payroll. And I'm hearing people say that same sort of thing again. I think the Red Sox are about 230 in payroll. The Yankees are somewhere around 190. If the Rays have done anything in the history of their franchises, they shattered that myth. There's absolutely many ways you can beat a team that has good payroll and that has high payroll. A lot of it is to have good pitching, and ultimately that's what it comes down to. The Rays in 2008, when we got good because our pitching got good. And guys like Shields were excellent, and Sonnenstein and Garza and Edwin Jackson and on and on. You hold down the other team's offenses, and you can end up winning games 3-2 and 2-1, 5-4. I think what's scary right now about the Red Sox and the Yankees is that they're good and they're young. They have loaded up on talent. They're good not because of their payroll. They're good because they're very, very talented. If I had to wager, I think the Red Sox are still a little bit better than the Yankees. I think both have very good lineups. Overall, though, I see the Yankees as a team that's going to hit a lot of home runs and strike out a ton. I think the young Red Sox players are probably a little bit better than the young Yankee players. I think the Red Sox outfield of Betts, Benintendi, and Bradley is just fantastic. And Bogarts, of course, at shortstop also. They're young and they're very good, but they've sold off a lot of their farm systems to get a lot of these guys. So ultimately, their window to win is now. At some point, their time will come. They'll lose some guys over free agency, like every other team. But I would say those are probably the best two teams right now. I think the Orioles, with adding to their pitching staff, are going to be good. It depends on injuries. And I think the Blue Jays actually, as quietly, have had a very good offseason. As for the Rays, I don't know. I can't say that I predict the Rays to be a postseason team or even or certainly not a division-winning team. But I've been surprised before. Pitching and defense is a great leveler.
All right, man. Well, I was going to say come north, but there, you get north to New York, but then you get to go back down south and play in the dome down there. Stay warm down there. It's still freezing up here. It snowed a foot this week. You don't want any part of Ellicott City these days, Andy. You made a great life choice. You're the big winner here. If there's a Charlie Sheen in this conversation with winning, you're winning. 14 years down there in Tampa.
You're too kind, and we haven't had a single nor'easter down. We had one hurricane last year, but we haven't had a single nor'easter in Florida this offseason.
I'm in Orlando all week. Just give me 82 and sunny so I can go see Mickey Mouse at Epcot on Wednesday, okay? That's all I'm asking for. There he goes, Andy Freed. Always a pleasure. We'll see you next month, pal.
Sounds good, Nestor.
All right, Andy Freed is the longtime voice of all things Tampa Rays baseball, and I thought, Orioles sign Alex Cobb. I mean, let's get somebody on that knows a whole lot about Alex Cobb. So great stuff there with Andy Freed. He's not on Twitter or any of that stuff. He just calls the games down there in Tampa, puts his sandals on, and drives on over and watches indoor baseball with $2 kids nights on Tuesday night. I had a good experience down with the Rays. My wife threw out the first pitch down there. Great people down there. And so we are indebted to the Rays organization. I wish I would have bought that Rays tie-dye shirt. I really screwed that up. One of the regrets that I have from my 30-30 tour. You can find me out anywhere the internet is served. The buyatoyota.com audio vault is there 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device by downloading the TuneIn Radio app. We do come in crystal clear from anywhere in the world. I want to invite everyone out. Thursday night, the Orioles opening day after party. Join us out at Michael's Cafe in Timonium. We'll be swabbing for the Bone Marrow Registry and for There Goes My Hero. My man Barry Trott's coming up from D.C. It is our one time a year we get together and tell old stories, new stories, Skipjack stories. Former Skipjack's employees come out. They take over. We all get swabbed. And we preview the Stanley Cup playoffs in the hopes that this is the year for the Caps. So Thursday night, 29th, 7:30, Michael's Cafe, Timonium. Come on out. Say hello to the coach. It's all brought to you by our friends at Cole Roofing as well as at Friedmont Mortgage. Don't make a 30-year mistake by choosing the wrong lender. You need Carl Delmont and our friends at Friedmont Mortgage, whether you're buying, selling, just trying to figure out where you are in the market. They give it to you straight. That's what they do at Fremont Mortgage. That's why they're our partner here at WNST.net, as well as our sponsor for all things swabbing and for the Bone Marrow Registry. We'll see you on Thursday out at Michael's Cafe in Timonium. Get a crab cake. You'll be happy you did. Nasty at WNST.net finds me. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, and Instagram. Anywhere the internet travels, we're there for you, including if there's any more breaking news, you get it first on the WNST text service, even if it's something like Alex Cobb coming to the Orioles, certainly with opening day this week. And we got the Ravens with draft coming up in a couple of weeks and the Liars luncheon next week. It's exciting. It's a good month around here. Mixing a little rock and roll in. Going to be telling you about our partnership with the Modell Lyric. We're so blessed and honored. I'm getting myself a Modell Lyric hat, so I'm looking forward to that as well. So we got big news around here, big doings, including our community series that we're doing beginning on April 5th with charities all throughout the marketplace, trying to help them out, create some awareness for them. That's all brought to you by our friends at Howard Bank, a relentless commitment to being the best at everything they do. The unique hands-on approach to banking. There is a Howard Bank right around the corner from you. I am Nestor. We are WNST.net, AM 1570 at WNST Towson, Baltimore. And we never stop talking Baltimore sports.